Yeah. Good afternoon and welcome to the Capital Investment Committee meeting of February 23rd, 2023. I'd like to open with attendance. Alderman Blanton.
Here.
Alderman Brown.
Here.
Alderman Hanson is absent. Alderman Berger here. All right. We have approval of minutes. Consideration approval of minutes from December 8th, 2022. Since we did not have a January meeting, that is the last minutes we had. May I have a motion?
Move to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Alderman Blanton?
Got it. Here,
Alderman
yes.
Brown?
Here.
Yes.
Alderman Berger? Here. 3-0. Yes, we have new business. Aha! Election of chairman and vice chairman effective 2023.
I would like to nominate Alderman Matt Brown.
And I'll second that. We have any discussion?
Anybody? Yeah.
Now's your time to weasel out.
I don't know who I would talk to. All good.
Where to go?
All good.
Okay. All in favor, Alderman Blanton?
Yes.
Alderman Brown?
Yes.
Alderman Berger? Yes, 3-0. Take it away, Alderman Brown.
Do we need to do our vice chairman too?
That's right. I'm sorry. You
all right.
can't. So do you,
You can do that.
I'd like to
can
nominate Alderman Blanton for vice chairman.
I'll second that.
Okay.
See what happens?
Yeah.
Or we can nominate somebody who's not here. That'll teach you to not show up, right? I'll second that.
Oh, I guess it's on to me now,
Yeah,
huh?
it's on
All
you.
right.
Good to do it.
All
I
right.
was going to do it, but you go right ahead.
All right. Let's take a vote. Alderman Blanton,
Yes.
Alderman Berger,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes.
All right.
Item passes 3-0.
All right.
All right. Item number 3, consideration to grant sewer availability for 4341 South Carruthers Road. This is Michelle.
So this availability was deferred from, I believe it was December, or it was the December meeting that was like in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. This is on South Carruthers, on the east side of South Carruthers and to the south of the Falcon Creek subdivision. So if you remember, this has already been presented once. If you remember, this is where the applicant is requesting to tie into a not yet constructed subdivision with a grinder pump. We deferred this item and requested the applicant to provide a letter from the developer giving the timeline of when they were going to develop. The letter that they provided was attached to the item, and it doesn't really give a clear time frame as far as development. So we wanted to present that to you. We're still, the water department still recommends connection via the gravity system as we recommended last time.
Any discussion?
How about?
Sure.
We need to make a motion.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
You have to ask.
There's stairs over there.
No problem. Oh, thank you.
So if you could just state your name and the address.
Hey, I'm
Great.
Nicole, and this is Paul.
There you go.
I'm Nicole Russell, and this is Paul Russell, my husband. We live at 4341 South Carruthers Road.
And the letter that Ms. Hatcher's referencing, I think that the developer cannot give a timeline because he's been waiting for a long time for his permit and has went through. I think he feels like he feels like he's done everything and it continues to be issued. So I think once he gets a firm permit, he will be able to give us a schedule. Like he has a dozer over there waiting. He has hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment there waiting, and the letter does say that the sewer will be the first utility installed.
So, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
So what is your timeline? I know it's been a minute since.
Yeah.
So I think y'all are anxious, but not crazy anxious.
Well, and also, too, we did have to obtain, they had to obtain land from us in order to expand the road, in which
Sure.
we've now done. And I know there's works in place to have the road expanded since we've signed over our land as well to further that. But as far as timeline, I mean, we're really waiting to see how this goes. I mean, this is really impacting our family in order to have a timeline. And so we've met with people to see how we could grow our home. And so with that, we're trying to see if this is something we can do. I think this is really a hinging factor in us being able to have a timeline as well. So I think we're all our hands are all tied with this.
The big thing for us is like we need to be able to do that grinder pump install whenever they're tearing up the road, because they're like I was talking about, they're widening the road, and it's going to be even more cost prohibitive if we can't have that grinder pump or the line that's going underneath the road done whenever they are doing the other road improvement.
But your
work.
ultimate goal would be to be connected to sewer.
Yes.
Down the road.
Sewer, and,
Yes.
and then,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
You're like, right, honey?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Was your motion to approve with the grinder pump, or was it the staff recommendation of gravity?
Oh, because it says
Well-
consideration to grant sewer availability.
Yeah, well, my motion was just to grant sewer availability. But what do we need to do here?
So what the recommendation says, though, is staff continues to recommend that this availability request be approved contingent on the applicant being responsible for the installation of a gravity main, putting this house in grinder pump and extending a force main to the nearest manhole in Carruthers Glen would not be an orderly expansion of the system. So I'm not sure, we talk about there being a contingent on the installation of the gravity main, but do we know, is there anything in timing on that piece?
The gravity main?
Yeah.
The
Is there
gravity main
something-
would be, I mean, the gravity main could start as
Okay.
soon as the applicant is ready, because that's not contingent
Is
upon the
that
development.
entirely on them, or is that
Yes.
happening elsewhere? Okay, all right,
Yes.
I see what you're saying.
So-
I'm just
So that's
trying
what we
to-
talked about in the last. That
Yeah.
was like the $400,000 plus
It's a
dollar
significant
cost.
Yeah.
so in order for us to be on a gravity fed system, we were going to have to pay over $400,000 in order to do that, in which Paul pointed out last time we met that that's just not something we can unfortunately do. And so that's when you guys asked us to be able to come back saying, would the developer allow us to connect? And he provided that information, and he, saying he can, and he doesn't have a time frame in which he's waiting on other contingent factors, but he's put a lot into this development. It's going to happen.
What's the cost of the grinder switch?
So that's what you need right now, is the grinder.
Yes, ma'am. That's what we were asking for.
Okay, and then later on, when this is provided to you, you would switch over to,
Yeah. So we're on
This is the
septic.
permanent
We're on
solution.
septic right now. We would want to install the grinder pump whenever that road's being torn up, and they can do that then. But then as far as like whenever it's actually turned on, we're fine like waiting until like just like if there was a delay on sewer on his side, waiting until that happened.
then you could eventually get off the grinder, is what you're saying.
No, we would.
I don't think they ever get off the
We would
grinder.
not
That
do
is
that.
their sewer solution.
Okay.
We would get off the we would be leaving septic and going to
Yeah.
a grinder sewer system.
Okay, so you want to get off the septic and go to the grinder.
Yes, ma'am.
We've done many times for different people. I mean, it's not unusual that we have not done that. I mean, you don't do it all the time,
Yeah.
but you can. And then where the disconnect for me is coming as after you get on the grinder, what about the developer and he's bringing,
So
you don't know when that would happen.
So he's because he's waiting on getting his permit from the city.
Yeah.
But he said that it's going to be the sewer's going to be the first after the grading is done. It's the first utility that he will install.
And you want this approval so that then you can hop onto that when he's ready.
Yes, ma'am. And then we would go ahead and like whenever they're tearing up the road, we would do the work then so that whenever his sewer's ready, we're ready to connect and
So.
go.
That was the golden word, because you made it sound like you wanted to remain on a grinder
Yeah.
pump in perpetuity. But that's not what you're saying.
No,
Well, I think
They-
that
they
is what
do.
they're saying.
Yeah.
That's your sewer connection, is through the grinder pump, and you don't plan on changing that.
Unless they clear it
Correct. I
down.
mean,
10,
if
20
gravity,
years
if
from now.
gravity fed sewer was ever available, I mean, we're obviously we're happy to connect into that, but we
Is-
can't. We don't want to pay.
Is there any other development anticipated in their area on the west side of that road that could make sense for that down the line, or is this kind of a one-off from a system build-out standpoint? Do you have a sense
I
of
mean,
that?
I think I think potentially, but not, I don't think in our arsenal. I don't know. You may have a better feeling for that. I don't.
I don't
See what I'm saying? Is
I
it,
don't
does doing
think at
this in any
point
way
time-
prevent tying on future properties to a gravity solution? Or does it help deliver a gravity solution so many years from now when development happens in
Maybe.
that area? You know what I'm saying?
Correct, right.
Could be,
Yeah. Because you could do
Some-
something
some-
contingent on,
that's right.
you know, tying into gravity if gravity was ever
Yeah,
put
so
into
maybe.
the area.
Right.
So maybe
I just
we-
don't know if you have an anticipation of, no, it's probably not going to happen, or it could happen, and
I don't know that there's anything in the pipeline to develop those areas immediately. So I mean, it
So
would
what, could
potentially
we,
be
could we not
further.
say, that at some future date, if sewer was ever brought near their home where they wouldn't have to spend $400,000, then we would ask them to tie into sewer? I mean, reasonable, but not $400,000 worth.
Are you
So
in the city of Franklin now?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm going to withdraw my motion.
okay.
Okay, I just don't feel comfortable with that motion at all
Okay.
right now. And do we have withdrawal of the second?
Sure.
I mean, So, I think the motion is to make a motion to approve this couple to get the grinder pump for, at the time period that is deemable with your developer out there, that when you can do that. And also that motion would include that in the future, no matter when that would be, if sewer is brought in a reasonable area near your home where it's not astronomically available, I mean, expensive for you. I don't know how to word that, but I think the motion is that I move to approve that you receive the grinder pump, but at a future date, if sewer becomes available, gravity sewer becomes available in its reasonable cost to you as a homeowner, that we would ask you to hook onto that. That could be 10 years, 20 years, who knows, whatever. Could be 50 years, who knows. Anyway, that's my motion for the grinder pump.
Second,
Okay, ready to vote? Okay, Alderman Bland,
yes.
Alderman Berger,
Yes.
Real quick, can I ask a question as well, since this is up for, we're here, and in the future, we own 3 acres, and so if we wanted to build on our acreage next to us, and is there any way we can have a second grinder pump for that land there as
how
well
that
while we're
works.
doing this? So we don't have to go through this process again, like if we decide to do that in the future.
Okay,
let's finish up. The chair votes yes, by the way, so 3-0
all
on
right.
that motion.
Yeah. Okay, so
And
we
then-
got that. So you're just asking about the future.
I think you're gonna have to come back to the
Well,
process.
how do they expand? That's the question.
well, what if they
If they-
subdivide and add
if
another
they-
unit, and somebody else develops down the line, and everybody just wants a grinder pump? That's not a good way to build out a system.
No, she's talking
I mean,
about the
we're
three
trying to
acres.
do you,
No, we're talking.
well,
about
but there's other land around you, and,
It's developed. We are
It's all-
like,
well, isn't there property to
No.
the west of you?
Doesn't look like.
that it's
I'm just
developed.
looking at the picture.
So,
It's developed.
long-term, as these properties here to the west develop, gravity sewer will be extended up near the property line for them to connect to. Generally speaking, whenever they subdivide, that's when we say no to,
Right.
to grinders.
Oh, okay.
These one-offs, sometimes you all decide to approve, but they will be pumping in the wrong direction. They'll be pumping uphill
Yeah.
conveniently. But
Makes sense.
looking to the west here in the contours, it can certainly be extended up
There's
here
a home next to that.
as these tracks develop or redevelop.
Okay.
There's a home next to it. There's a home, I mean, it's a multi-million-dollar home next to that. It's not, they're not selling and they're not moving. Like, that's not gonna happen.
But if they want to connect to sewer, we generally require it to be extended to the property line, is how that works. So there's a very good possibility it'll be available in the future, the grid.
No, I don't agree with that statement.
So question,
Yes.
Good.
the multi-million-dollar home that's next to you, how many acres is that?
It's about 7 and it goes like lengthwise.
Would they possibly subdivide their property and have another home built on that.
No,
one
because
knows.
it's like our property is the
No one
length
knows
of the
that.
road,
Yeah.
and theirs is long ways. So they're 7 acres back, and their home is in the front, like where the road meets.
Yeah.
So I just don't see it happening. And then behind us now, we're getting about 100 homes with the Lockwood Glen development. And then I believe, then now with our old neighbor Harry, that development now. So like, it's just, we are
3 acres.
locked
so-
in, yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to end up
And that's
having to
why I'm
bring it.
asking
But
now.
you're going to end up having to bring it back. It's not even on an agenda item for us even to vote on today. So
no.
you're going to
It's
have
the
to bring
same
it back for consideration.
It's the same.
It wouldn't be the same
scenario.
because you'd be subdividing and then.
No,
get into the
no, because we
complication of
own this
extra.
property. Like, I'm not. This is.
What
our
would cause you to
land.
need a second grinder pump
we
except for
did-
subdividing and
Parent-
building it?
If we wanted
Parents?
aging parents, they live 2.5 hours away. They can't afford to live here in Franklin any longer because of rising house costs. Like, we have a ranch style home in which they could move into. We're not talking about subdividing our property. We bought this land because it's 3 acres. That's not something that's available in Franklin anymore. And so again, like in conversation with looking at what our future looks like here, that's something that as well we've talked about is maybe building on this land and having our parents move.
Okay. So
But building another structure.
have to-
I think we need to have.
Potential- yes. That
would
We
be
need to have,
another
a- we're-
conversation.
I think I would
Yeah.
urge you not to grant something without a plan. We need to know what you're doing before we would carte blanche grant another
And I guess
sewer
that my
access.
request now is because they're tearing everything up to where we could connect easily at this point.
So do you want to build another one now? Is that what you're proposing?
Yes.
Okay. We're kind of doing this on the fly.
Yeah.
I apologize.
yeah.
It's something that we've talked about and that we're looking at doing. And it makes sense with everything that's going on around us right now.
So, let me ask, since we already approved you to have one grinder pump, could we put this back onto the agenda and have them come back and let's have this discussion, since this is not on the agenda tonight, come back and have another discussion and come with a plan, come with, we need to know, like where on the property and then, because if sewer is available there at some point, would sewer be able to be connected to both properties? That kind of
What-
stuff. I
what
think
could
there's
I-
a lot of questions here.
Yeah.
It sounds like one of your primary concerns is obviously tearing up the roadway again because it's a huge
Yeah, and
expense.
yeah.
One of the easy things to do there is to work with the contractor across. Sounds like he's been pretty good to work with y'all. Is if he can just put in a
He's
sleeve-
worked really hard to get this.
Yeah,
this
if he
way.
can put in another sleeve across the roadway, you can just that way. As long as he knows where the sleeves across the roadway in the future, that's something that can be buried in the future if you never need it. It's in the ground. If you do need it, it's not a huge expense to put a sleeve across the roadway.
Oh,
Good solution.
And then you just,
Yeah.
then in the future, you
As
put a
opposed
small
to
pipe
just
through
saying
there.
there's a pump when
There's
you know,
And that way, if
know
we,
what
if
you're
you don't
going to
ever
do when.
need the
Yeah.
future
Yeah.
grinder
Agreed.
pump,
Yeah.
you don't worry about it. If you need it in the future,
idea.
as long as you got a big enough pipe across the roadway, and you're just talking about a sleeve across the road.
and they're already going to do that.
Then you just,
They're not,
jam-
but
you just
you
jam,
incorporate
basically
that.
just put
Incorporate
a
it.
pipe
They're
through.
already
So
gonna
when
be-
we bring
already
it
gonna
back,
be
then
tying
if
it
he's
right.
put the sleeve
Right.
in, then that
Yeah,
potentially
and the
could be
sleeve
discussed.
doesn't require.
That's probably
any
a
kind of
better
approval
approach.
From the board.
It's a very good approach.
It's kind of like having 2 children and only one has the appointment, but you ask the doctor to see both of them at the same time.
Hey, I'm a mom of 3. I will.
I know, I've got 5, so
And the sleeve's obviously not a bad idea for the one you just got approval on either, because if something ever happens with that.
No,
that
and I'm glad
pipe-
I asked because this is all
Do
learning
that.
curve.
Because
so I
if
appreciate
something ever
the-
happens with the pipe that you're going to install, that way if they have to replace it, they're not digging up the road to do that.
Yeah, if you need to talk to Jonathan again, you can call
What
him.
is
Yeah.
his name?
My name's Jonathan Marston, but actually, you're better off talking to water management. They're the ones who
Yeah.
manage that. So
All right, that's
I'm
true.
just offering that solution
You
for
can call
you.
It's a
Michelle,
good solution.
Yeah.
Okay.
just to make sure that you know what to ask for and whatever. But that's a great solution. I mean, that's a good suggestion.
It's just, that's fairly affordable to do, and that's not something
Yeah.
that would
Yeah,
take a whole lot of time
good
to do.
idea.
Okay, and when plans are more solidified.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
Yeah, then you
thank
can
you.
come
So
you.
Michelle with the Water Department, Michelle Hatcher,
Thank you.
okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right,
All right,
well, she was good.
item number 4, consideration of draft change order 1 to City of Franklin contract number 2021-0181 with Spectra Tech LLC for the wastewater structure rehabilitation project for a cost increase of $150,000.
So this is we just awarded this contract. This was $100,000 it's in our budget. It's for manhole lining, so to reduce the infiltration and inflow into manholes. We have not done some other projects that were in our budget. So what we're doing is, because we're mobilized on this one, we're going to take some money and move it from other projects we haven't done into this, so we can attack more manholes this year and get them lined. So that's just simply what this was. So we're not increasing our overall budget. This is just reducing funds that we're expending other places.
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, let's take a vote. Alderman Bland?
Yes.
Alderman Berger?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Passes 3-0. Item number 5, consideration of draft change order 3 to City of Franklin contract number 2018-0282, a construction contract with Civil Constructors LLC for the State Route 96 West Multi-Use Trail Phases 1 and 2 project for a time extension of 41 days and a cost increase of $21,504.26.
So this is change order 3. The final change order will be coming here shortly, but this is associated with adjusting the bituminous index with the job based on asphalt and the fluctuation there, and then also a PED push button that needed to be changed out on the project. And again, there'll be a final change order coming.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote here. Alderman Blanton?
Yes.
Alderman Berger?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Passes 3-0. Item number 6, consideration of draft amendment 3 to City of Franklin contract number 2019-0376, professional services agreement with Barge Design Solutions for the design of Bicentennial Park project at a lump sum cost increase of $124,300.
Everything's increasing.
So I'll give you a quick update on the project. It's been through the department review team, and Jonathan is finishing up the bid form with Shahad this week and next week, and this project will be going out to bid shortly, so we're excited about
Awesome.
that.
Very excited.
This cost in the amendment is really to support us in the construction phase. We typically ask our consultants to help with shop drawing reviews of different equipment, building products, et cetera, that were spec'd, and this will help get us through the construction administration phase.
Okay, do I have an approval or a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, let's take a vote. Alderman Blanton?
Yes.
Alderman Berger?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, passes 3-0. Item number 7, consideration of City of Franklin contract number 2022-0221 with the Corradino Group for the State Route 96 Traffic Signal Improvements Project in the amount of $92,165.
So this project involves changing out vehicle detection, traffic signal heads, changing out cabinets and equipment at 13 different intersections. It's 100% funded through Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Grant. And we went through a RFQ process to select Corradino Group, so we're recommending approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Move for approval.
Second. Question. So 13 intersections. Murfreesboro Road, where's, from Eddy Lane to Arnold Road, is that 13 intersections, 13 lights
Yes.
between Eddy Lane and Arnold? Whew, that's a lot of traffic lights.
It's a lot of lights.
All right. Yeah, we need that. That's a mess over there. Now, can you get that interchange done? Put that on a list. Okay,
Let's take a vote. Alderman Blanton?
Yes.
Alderman Berger?
yes.
Chair votes yes, passes 3-0. Item number 8, consideration of City of Franklin contract number 2022-0286 with Turnberry Homes LLC for a road impact fee offset agreement for an amount not to exceed $16,700.
So this development is off Clovercroft Road, and essentially they were required to dedicate right away for the future expansion when it happens. And because of that, we are required to reimburse them the impact fees based on fair market value. And this agreement will allow us to do that.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Move for approval. That's cheap.
Where is this?
This is east of, is it John Williams Road? Just east of that? I can pull it up.
That's what it looked like.
Is that the 2 or 3?
5 additional houses.
What?
Yeah, 5 additional houses on,
5?
yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is what I'm counting.
How many
I don't know the exact acreage. It is 7.43 acres.
Ready to vote? Alderman Bland?
Yes.
Alderman Berger?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, passes 3-0.
Okay, but, or
She
I'll,
did.
here, yeah, I'm pretty sure, but,
Yeah.
no, I will give it now if I didn't, so, or however that needs to work.
You did. All right, item number 9. Consideration of City of Franklin contract number 2022-0119 with Barge Design Solutions for traffic engineering on-call consultant services.
And if it's all right with the committee, I'd like to take 9 through 13 all as one item.
Okay. Good. We'll do it.
So 9 through 12 are basically on-call traffic engineering consulting services. So as you know, when developments submit a traffic impact study, they work directly with our folks, but they also go through a third-party traffic engineering firm to help really ensure the numbers are correct and what we're being presented are correct and the recommendations are correct. And so we went through a RFQ process to select consultants. We ultimately selected Barge Design, Cordino Group, Kimley Horn, and Neil Schaefer as far as traffic engineering is concerned. And to support us in those efforts, it can also be used for on-call or for traffic signal or signal design as funded by the board. But essentially, they're on-call, and item number 13 is a resolution that essentially gives us the authority to issue work orders associated with those contracts. But the funding has to be approved through our annual operating budget or capital budget.
So I'll move for approval, but I have a question.
I'll second it and have a question too.
So basically, are we renewing the same vendors that we used last year? Is that, here, because these are all dated 2022. And if we're moving forward, is it,
It just took us a while to go through the RFQ process, and
Yeah, the
sometimes we'll,
proposals came in 22, but yeah.
sometimes we'll assign a contract number well in advance when we advertise.
okay,
and
do you understand my confusion?
Came in
Like,
at the end of the year,
Shouldn't
but-
this be revised to 2023, but get it?
We number the contracts, as we start the
Understood.
process, yeah.
Alderman Berger?
How long do each of these last, Paul? Is it
I believe they're 3 years.
3 years? Yeah, I thought.
Is what we typically do.
And it's interesting that we have 4 companies here.
And we do that because not all companies perform. And that way we can pick the best suited company. Some are really,
So we're approving all the companies, and then when they come in, then
we assign them to the appropriate projects.
At the time.
Some are great at signal timing, some are,
you know who to.
we know exactly who's
That's
good at what.
okay.
And if they don't perform, we don't use them
That's
again.
why you had all those open.
There might be availability with certain firms that,
Yep.
with certain work.
So our, I'm sorry. Timothy, point of order, are we voting on each of these separately? Yes, I thought so, okay. So starting with.
All right,
what?
let's start with number 9.
All right.
Alderman Bland?
Yes.
Alderman Berger?
Yes,
Chair votes yes, passes 3-0. On item number 10,
move for approval.
Second?
take our vote. Alderman Bland?
Yes.
Alderman Berger?
Yes,
Chair votes yes, passes 3-0. Item number 11, contract.
Approval?
second,
Take our vote. Alderman Bland?
Yes.
Alderman Berger?
yes,
Chair votes yes, 3-0. And item number 12 with Neil Schaefer.
move for approval.
Second?
And vote. Alderman Bland?
Yes.
Alderman Berger?
Yes,
Chair votes yes, votes 3-0. All right, item number 13, which is the consideration to give the city administrator the ability to execute the work orders for the above contracts. Can I get a motion?
move for approval.
Second?
Okay, ready to vote? Any discussion? All right, Alderman Bland?
Yes.
Alderman Berger?
Yes,
Chair votes yes, 3-0.
okay.
Last item, number 14,
The dashboard.
updates on the dashboard. Any status updates?
I'm gonna let Jonathan take this one.
Obviously, I'll let you know that Franklin Road, they're still out there working right now. They're
You had to tell us that?
It's a nice day. What they're working on right now, one of the big things is they're doing the brick crosswalks. Those are pretty labor intensive.
They've
So
got Winslow blocked off.
yeah,
I see.
that's one of the things you're seeing them do out there right now. So when they get those done, one of the things that they can focus on next is as we get consistent, longer stretches of warmer weather and the plants open back up, then they can actually focus on getting that last surface course of asphalt in. What they've shown us, the latest schedule within the last week or so, shows them doing that towards the latter part of March, first part of April is when they're showing us to get that last little bit done.
Let me ask you guys to address this, and I have something that
Yes, sir.
you all gave me to send out to the board that I'll send out today, but about the lights. We had some
perfect.
questions
So-
about the
Yeah.
lights and how bright they are and what we can do. Can you all give sort of an overview of where we are on that and what kind of options we have?
There's so
This is a
many
state route,
lights.
so this is part of what we worked through in
Yeah.
setting up the project.
So one of the things, and I won't get too detailed on it, but one of the things with our standards are set up for our arterial routes and our major collectors. We actually follow a certain set of standards that light it based on the criteria of the roadway, with the number of pedestrians on the roadway we expect, and the number of vehicles, and the number of conflicts we expect. So obviously, that particular section of Franklin Road, we do expect there to be a lot of pedestrians. That's the whole reason for the wider sidewalks between the factory and downtown. So that's why the reason for the extra lighting there.
Extra lighting.
So, and I say extra, but it's above and beyond what you would see in like a normal neighborhood. So it's, again,
Oh, yeah.
it's on an arterial
neighborhood
route.
street, yeah.
So that's why you see that level of lighting. And it transitions to the overhead lighting as you leave and go past Liberty Pike out. So that's why you see that level of lighting, because you expect to see a lot of pedestrians there long-term with the factory.
Well, that
And
makes sense.
But if you compare it to Hillsborough Road, which I looked today, the spacing there is like almost 2 to 1.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and compare the
I know,
photometrics,
go
but
driving,
yeah.
she'll go, oh, I see what she's
Yeah,
saying.
but, and we base it off photometrics and the calculations. So I mean, I can go back and look, but what we're doing about that, we've heard heard the concerns and the complaints. We're actually taking light cutoff shields, so the back sides. We're actually installing and ordering 180-degree cutoff shields. So they're going to take off the top of the globes, and they'll put a shield on the back of those lights.
Keep it out of the
It'll
houses.
actually keep it out of the yards and off the houses. So they're going to do that on every one of those
Oh, that's
globes.
a good idea.
Yeah.
But that's great, but like if you have a house on this side of the street and they've done that on the back, it's still gonna shine.
You're going to get the
Across
ones from
the
across
street.
the street, and
Yeah,
that,
but
that's
it won't be
one
as
of the that's
bright.
one of the trade-offs with the decorative style acorn lights. You do get that light pollution from an acorn style light. So there is that. One of the things they're also looking at is the ability to actually dim the lights. So they're looking into that, and that's something that we know we can do from a voltage standpoint, and seeing if they can do it just from a control standpoint of the light. So they're looking into that, but we know we're doing the cutoff shields.
Do we need any TDOT blessing for either of those initiatives? Because it's a state route.
We will go through them and give them
Okay.
a heads up, because they did actually approve the lighting levels. I mean, it is a state route. Ultimately, we maintain the lighting. TDOT's not going to maintain it. I mean, even the interstate lights, a lot of people
we do
don't know
those.
this. We
Yeah.
maintain the interstate lights. TDOT doesn't maintain those. We do those, even the high mast lights. So we maintain those. So people don't know that. So like the high mast lights they put in at Goose Creek, we maintain those as a city. Streets Department does that for us. So
So we think there's a path forward on
there's
those.
definitely a path
For
forward.
sure, the shields, and then we're looking at a
You basically
lower
take a,
level lighting.
you basically take a screwdriver and you can wind it down and
Yeah.
dim the lights. So that'll be the next.
Yes.
Yeah.
Start with the shields first, see how it does, and then.
And one of the things we've talked about internally is going forward, we know that those calculations are based on the criteria that we're telling them moving forward. So we can adjust that criteria and be a little selective in a different way and say, let's go in that, let's go there knowing that we're probably going to get some of these concerns and err on the side of lower light levels. So we know that going forward as well, so that we don't have to make these adjustments on the back end. But we're doing everything we can on the front end or on the back end now to make these adjustments.
Well, if we see a Cessna land on Franklin Road, they're too bright. I will know. Now, I love the look of the lights. I think
Yeah.
they look great, but certainly,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
The brightness, yeah.
Drive down there. and-
So we'll continue to work on that and implement those changes and
Lot of lights.
see how we'll do one step at a time, I think is the idea, and see if we can get it to a better
But
better
you're
place.
right, it's probably going to be a very highly trafficked area. And when the Franklin factory gets done and Middle 8 and all that stuff, whew, we could have a lot of foot traffic in that area because it's a short distance from Liberty Pike down to First Avenue. It's not very long.
And
a lot
one
of
of the reasons you have so many lights is when you use those photometric calculations on that style of light, not as much light from an Acorn style light actually gets to the roadway. So it takes so many more of that style of light to put that light where it needs to be, because it just goes everywhere.
What was there before? I should know.
Not much of anything. It was
Yeah.
really
That's what I was
it was
gonna say.
occasional
Those old-
Cobra headlights
Those
Yeah.
old-
when they were on a power
Weren't
pole, so
they-
it was
yeah,
wherever
they
the
were
power
power
poles were
poles.
at. So there really wasn't a standard they were
sporadic.
designed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They're on the wooden
Similar to
poles.
the,
Yeah.
when you go into Miles Manor there, there's still one there.
We're working on it. We know you don't want the complaints. We don't want the
We don't want
complaints.
to, yeah.
Our goal is
Thank
to
you.
light the road, not people's houses. We're going to get it fixed.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
And the one other
Other
update,
projects,
the
yeah.
one other update I would give you is on Robinson Lake, the dam and park. We did, you'll see a resolution here in a short meeting, well, shortly in a future meeting, to actually reject those bids, unfortunately. We did receive some bids. They were higher than what we wanted to see. So we will be recommending a rejection of bids and a rebidding at a future date. So
And our plan is to, I think, still, correct me if I'm wrong, bid together the Southeast Park Phase 1 and the Robinson Lake, do them separately, but at the same time, because you might get some common interest across those, and you might have bidders say, oh, I could do both of these projects and share resources,
Yes.
staff and equipment and that kind of thing. So it might give us a better shot. And also, it gives us, if we have to make some choices about how to move forward with the project, we'll know the whole picture on costs of two major projects. So that's our plan, probably in the summertime, to do those bids, given what we've got to do to get Southeast Park ready, across the goal line. But that's getting close too. And as you said, Bicentennial is getting ready to
And
bid.
Bicentennial, with it coming up to bid, that'll be the next one that comes out for bid from the park standpoint. That one will be a good gauge of where we're at with regard to bid costs for Southeast Park later, because the Bicentennial has a lot of the similar elements as far as architecture and all the detailed elements. Now, obviously, it doesn't have fields and things like that, but it does have a lot of the detailed elements. So that will give us some idea of where we're going to be cost escalation wise with everything we're seeing in construction. So that will give us some good idea of where we're going to be, where we need to go, some decisions that maybe have to be made. So, because we have seen some pretty dramatic increases in costs over the last year or so. You would not think that, we're coming out of the pandemic, but we've seen some pretty amazing things in a bad way with construction costs. Even to some of the charts are really, you don't want to see an exponential rise in the cost of construction, and even to the tune of like 15 and 20% year over year. That's really not what you want to see in certain things. So, and that's what you're
It's
seeing
gonna
in construction
continue to
costs.
go up.
So.
Sorry to go backwards, but did you say timing on shields and all that? Rough
As soon
time?
as we can get them in, last time I heard it was about 4 to 6 weeks to actually get all the shields in. And as soon as we get those in, it's just a matter of going to each light, taking the globes off. So 30 minutes, 45 minutes of light once they get them in,
I just, couple months.
a couple months.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So y'all are probably gonna have a stroke, but, so it came up the other day, the Mallory Royal Oaks roundabout. And I remember when we had our new board and we looked at the CIP briefly, it was said, is there anything anybody wants to revisit? And I said, I would and there was a little bit of people who agreed with me, but yet we've never talked about it again. So
So
I got the feeling that it was something we were gonna look at. So
we plan to.
I thought you were just gonna try to smooth it in on me.
No.
Send me a
No.
joke about roundabout.
It's coming.
We're working through, we're still working through some of the utility stuff and reducing, before we show it to the public or the board.
Sure.
We want to be able to show the true impact on people's property and how we're going to phase the project and have
Like
those
a-
answers ready.
Options.
Options.
And how much
And
it
so
costs.
we're working through that. There's still some plan issues that we got to get addressed. And as soon as those are addressed, we want to have a public meeting with the residents and then bring that forward with a request to fund the right-of-way acquisition or whichever way you decide to take it.
I just hadn't heard anything and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I need to, because I was on the ask, need to follow
But
through.
we're close.
We just want to do this work so it can be.
Good, I'm glad I didn't make you have a stroke.
No, your timing on that one's great because we're actually.
I'm psychic.
We're actually having a meeting with the consultant tomorrow to go over the plan comments that we received in like early December. We've gone through those plans now. We're going over those comments with them tomorrow to get those in final shape.
We're,
I appreciate
we're
it.
looking at it and we're seeing ways we can reduce impacts and that's what we need to do and that's what we need to show the residents and the board ultimately.
That was
Gosh,
the,
there were people, I'm sorry, there were just people after the vote happened, they're like, oh my gosh, is this a done deal? And I'm like, So maybe we can
Price-wise,
weigh
probably
options.
will be.
That was the first intersection we approved that technology to see, did that
Yeah,
work?
exactly.
Was that effective of seeing utilities and all that? That was the
Yeah.
first intersection we
Yes,
tried
it
that
was-
on.
It was great. It helped us out dramatically. There was a gas line that we had no idea where it was because there was no locate wire with it. So now it tells us whether we have to relocate it or not. We had a lot of other utilities that were located about 15 feet off. And so this, when you're making a decision to move, spend $500,000 to move a line, we need to know where that line's at
Yeah.
and if it needs moved or not. So it really brought a lot of clarity to that.
And it's nice to know which lane it's actually in before you go dig it up. So,
Yes.
yeah, it's a plus.
Sometimes never know if what you approved actually was effective, so it's good.
I got a question whenever y'all get through it.
Mayor, all yours, sir.
I'm just curious about where we're at with right away on McEwen Forward and Columbia Avenue again. If you just,
Was going to be my question.
McEwen 4, we've acquired all the right of way on McEwen 4, so that's actually been certified by TDOT. So
where are we?
that's been certified by TDOT. We've
Where are
actually-
we in the tightly weaved web of the project?
We have actually submitted, I think as of either early this week or late last week, I'd have to ask my project manager, but they actually submitted the construction plans to TDOT to review the construction plans, so we know we're going to get, we're going to get comments back from TDOT because they've been sitting for a while for us to do right of way. You have to go through that process to get comments back. When we get those comments back from them, you'll see an amendment, well, not an amendment, but a contract back for the designer to make those revisions and any minor revisions we need to have, and then that'll be back in front of you. So that's where we're at right now.
And then where do we go from there? Go ahead.
and so the timeline now,
Yep.
We're still kind of in the same timeline that we had discussed earlier, and maybe some of the emails. I don't know if those are more of a staff level email, but we're still in the time frame of looking at starting construction, assuming everything keeps progressing at the level it is now. Still at 2024 is what we're starting next year, first of next year.
So
La 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 la. I
bidding
don't want to
late
hear
this
it.
year.
Bidding end of this year, start
First of
First
next
part
year.
of next year.
Yes.
TDOT has
Alright.
to certify the utilities, they have to certify the CSX permitting, and they have to
Yes.
certify
Bulldozers
all the
in January,
permits, which are
February?
now all
Yes,
in motion,
that's-
moving forward.
Yes.
So I'm
All right.
ecstatic.
and the ball is largely
Okay,
in TDOT's
so I don't
court
have to-
review
I can
all of those
unplug my ears.
reviews and approvals.
Yes,
Correct.
the utility information was submitted over 2 years ago. It's just had to wait on the right of
I
way,
know.
so
Wait,
we've
wait,
asked.
wait.
The
But
right of
The
way is
game of
done,
waiting.
so you're into
Yeah,
your
I know
next.
To be honest, if there wasn't funding, we'd be bidding it out now. That's
Yeah.
how confident I am in the plans. The plans are good, they're ready to go. We just got to go through the approval process.
Columbia.
Columbia Avenue.
Columbia
Yeah,
Avenue,
what
we're
about that?
still waiting on the NEPA information back from TDOT. I mean, we've submitted all the information they asked for that notice of continuing action.
environmental
It's
review.
the environmental where we got caught in that, I don't even know what to call it at this point. We got caught in their reevaluation
Yeah.
of how they look at the plan review. So we got caught in the middle of that, how they're reorganizing, how they do their reviews. So we've gone through the whole process they asked us to go through. We're still waiting on the go-ahead from that. So our project manager is actually getting more information from them. And as soon as we can try to speed that along, we are, but we
And the sec-
haven't been very successful
The
thus
second
far.
we get approval, we're ready to go for right away.
Yeah, our consultants are actually under contract. They're on board. They're ready to go.
So once the environmental's approved, we move into discussion, like with landowners
Yes,
about the
we-
right of way.
we would start with
elements.
appraisals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
We would start with appraisals and
Yes.
title searches.
How about Jordan Road?
Jordan Road is going through the condemnation process. There are 3 tracks remaining. The plans are 95% there. So as soon as we get through that condemnation process, we'll be ready to bid.
Okay, sometime this year?
I'm thinking in the next 8 months, we should be able to be done with it. It's just,
Do we think we can construct that starting the first of the year?
yes, I
Okay.
think we
Yes.
can start, as long as we get through
Good,
condemnation.
we need that road.
What about Margaret's Bridge?
Actually, I will give an update on that one. So we have all
If
that.
you're watching, Margaret, you're welcome.
And our plan is to still go get her when we actually bid that one out. We will go get her. And we'll have some sort of ribbon cutting. We'll let her break a bottle of champagne if I have to buy the bottle of champagne. We're actually doing something with those bridges because there's several projects that are smaller. So we're calling it a bundle bridge project to get more interest in those smaller projects rather than get 1 or 2 bidders. make it more attractive to some of your larger bidders to maybe get some better pricing and really, frankly, more interest in the project. So you have the West Main Bridge project, you have the Pratt Lane Bridge project, there's a Spencer Creek Bridge replacement over there across from the golf course. There's a culvert replacement.
Oh, yeah,
We're
yeah, yeah.
replacing that one with a box. And there's also, our streets department has a couple of bridges out in the Cool Springs area, Baker's Bridge and
That's a
Mallory,
big bridge.
the Mallory Lane.
That's a
We're not
big-
replacing the bridge. These are only repairs. Baker's Bridge and the Mallory Lane Bridge right there next to Jordan Road.
Jordan.
Okay.
Yeah, Old Franklin calls it
school,
Jordan. I let it slide once.
The bridge approach joints where you actually drive from the pavement onto the bridge, they're really bumpy. So, and they've tried to maintain those over the years. They just need to be repaired fully. So we're including those in the contract as well. So it's actually 5 small projects into one bundled contract. We've actually reviewed the combined set of plans and making one last round of comments with our designer. Hope to get those out to bid in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that, you can take flight coming over that Spencer Creek Bridge on Mac Hatcher. Have you come that way? Coming from West Haven, you come over the bridge through Hillsborough, you hit that bridge, I'm telling you, there are some massive bumps right there. I about lose control every time I hit that thing. So hopefully they'll come in there and shave that down a little bit. That'd be really nice.
Well, that one will be TDOT for that one.
Let's make that phone call.
We're
and
actually
see.
on Spencer Creek Road, but
Yeah. All right. Any other questions or discussion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.